Hi friend, I'm Anna Helman. I'm so glad you're here today. Today I want to share you how to create custom card bases in any shape that you choose. Sometimes we just don't think outside of the box, right? Most of the cards we make are a rectangle folded in half that fits politely and into an envelope, right? Let's think outside the box. We have all kinds of tools in our collections we can use to create cards in any shape. Let's take a look at how. This is a card I created not too long ago in a different tutorial where I actually used the butterfly die to create this butterfly shaped card. I loved how it turned out, and I thought it would be fun to do a whole tutorial just sharing how to create cards in other shapes besides a rectangle. If you're interested in the butterflies, I'll link in the video description below to a tutorial on that. So the cards I'm going to show you today, I'm going to show you 3, and I'll share several different tips and tricks and other things as we go along. They're all going to be decorated with this cute, sweet jar set. I love a stamp set that coordinates with the punch, and you'll get to see this in action here. We can fill the jar with several different fun things, which you will see. So here's the first one that I made, and I made this one with a die set called Impressions of Bloom. So here are the dies that I used. One uh, just cuts the shape, and this one actually cuts the outside and the inside. So I have a little bit smaller one I was able to use for a mat on the inside. I'll show you on my next card how to do this if you're not sure how to actually create these cuts. But just thought I would show you here. You can see that jar set has these adorable little hearts. Inside, you can see here's the narrower mat that I included, sending a little love your way. The papers I used on these, it's a set called Celebratory Sips that are really fun patterns. So let's look at how to create these card bases in any shape that you choose, as long as you have a die that coordinates with them. And I guess I should say, like, you could cut these out by hand if you want to. You could cut a banner out like this by hand if you choose to. But I just thought I'd show you how to do this with any of the dies in your collection. So you need to start with a piece of paper, and you can choose whether the fold is going to be like on the left side or on the top side. You'll have to plan that as you prepare your paper to fit with the die that you are going to use. And then you're going to take that paper, and when you lay it on your platform to cut this on your die cutting machine, what you have to make sure is that the top of the die does not cut off the fold of your paper. So here's the fold. The top of the die cannot cut off the fold. So I would place this just under there so that it doesn't cut it off. Now let's take a look at this one. So for this one, when I had folded that paper in half and laid it on my platform, I lined up the die here, and here I left a section at the top. So you can look at this and you just want to think about, like, how wide is my fold? How wide do I want my fold to be? If I had brought this down, let's say to here, can you see how narrow the part that would be my card fold would be at that point? The card fold might get a little weak. So when you decide where to put it, just think about how wide that fold is, and if it's wide enough that it's going to still be able to hold together when you open and close it several times. So let's create this card, and then I have a third one I'm going to show you, and another sample. I have several other things I'm going to show you. So I made this with a die set that is amazing. Do you see all these banners? This is called Party Banners. I love how big they are. I love how many they are. You can do so much layering with these. So I have created pieces for the inside and the outside with several of the layers. So let's get these attached, and then I want to show you a few things with this cute punch and die set that I showed you. So here's the piece for the inside. And I already stamped from the set. Happy birthday, sending a little party your way. Here I created this with that same cute paper pack and then the white piece as the mat. Now let's look at the stamps for this set. I wanted to show you a couple of things. So there's, as I showed you, there's lots of things you can put inside of this. We have these, which can be like jelly beans, they could be coffee beans. We have the little four-leaf clovers, the hearts, candles. These can be used in a lot of different ways. So I have my candle stamps here, and I wanted to show you how I got the multicolored candles here because I have one stamp that has 3 candles, and then this one is mounted on the backside, a single candle by itself. So you could ink all 3 of those in one color, but I decided to do it a little bit differently, and I wanted to show you that. So here is what I am going to do. I'll use my 3 colors. I have strawberry slush, peach pie, granny apple green. And because there is a gap between the candle on the left and the 2 candles on the right, that gave me a little space that I could ink up the one on the left separately from the ones on the right. I'm going to ink up the one on the left with my granny apple green. So I'm just doing this right on the edge of that ink pad where I'm not getting any of the green ink onto the candles on the right side. Now I'm going to do the opposite with the peach pie and the 2 candles on the right. And now I can go ahead and stamp that, lining up with the bottom of the jar or pretty close to it. And now, because we have this individual candle, I can ink that up here on my strawberry slush and stamp that in the gap. Then for the tops of the candles, for the flames, I can do the same thing. Basically, well, I just have to stamp them separately. So there's this one that has the 3 flames, and then there's one with a brighter glow that I can put on top of the single candle that I stamped. So I wanted to show you that. And then a lot of times, because I try to use your time well in my videos, I do a lot of the basic things off screen, but I don't often punch on camera, so I thought I would just to show you how I line things up. So when you have punches that have multiple pieces, it's good to plan out where you stamp by looking at your punch. So the lid is right there at the top. So if I put it right at the edge of my paper, I can punch it out and it's not going to waste any more of my paper. So we'll get that one punched out. And then if you're doing a lot of these, what I would do is to cut strips. I would cut a strip just a little bit wider than the jar itself, and you can stamp them in strips, not waste any paper. But here, what I'll do is just punch through this, and so by doing the strips, you would not waste a little piece for the extra lid. So anyway, that's a couple of punch tips. I always put the paper in, and you can squeeze a little bit and hold it in place, get it lined up correctly, and once you have it in the right spot, then you can go ahead and punch all the way. So just a couple of punch tricks. So here's the jar, here's the card. I have a little greeting prepared, a little treat for you, and we will add a bit of ribbon because it makes everything more fun. So we'll get this put together, and then I have one more, mostly finished, that I want to show you. So put this ribbon on. I really like, I don't know, do I ever wrap 2 kinds of ribbon together? I don't really, but I decided to in this tutorial. So that's something fun and new. Put this over top. And I could pop this up. At the moment, glue seems like an easy option, so we'll go with that. And if you ever have hard time picking up your small pieces, take your pick tool. This thing is awesome. Okay, we'll get that put on and we'll weigh it down for a second so the glue can dry. Let's take the paper backing off of these pieces. And we'll set that one aside. And let's work on the third one. So I created this one with another die set. This is quite possibly my favorite die set right now. It is a whole big set of circles. There's 2 of each size, and they have all these beautiful designs around the edges. This die set is called Spotlight on Nature. I'll have links in all these products in the video description below if you want to take a look. And so you can see how I used that one to cut the mossy meadow paper. I love the design. And if you have any problem, okay, so because we fold our cardstock and cut through 2 layers at once, if you have any problems with that, you can stick with designer paper if the cardstock is too thick for your machine. You can't stick with designer paper, which is a little bit thinner, but even cutting through the 2 layers, that amazing texture from that die still came through to my back side. I just love how this turned out. So you can see my mat that I made for the inside. For this one, I have sending a little luck your way. We're going to put the 4-leaf clovers in here. But I wanted to show you one more example of how the stamping works with this set. So I have the 4-leaf clover stamp and then this other stamp that's in here that this works with the hearts. It lines up behind the hearts correctly, as you can see on this one. So I stamped the lighter color with this stamp and then the dark one with this stamp. This also lines up with the beans. This one can be used as well. There's a lot of different ways to use this. So I am going to stamp the background stamp with my Granny Apple Green, my lighter color. And then I am going to stamp the clovers with my darker color, which is Old Olive. Let that dry for a second. And I'll go ahead and get some glue on the back of this. We'll get this put together. And then I have one more example of another card that I created. It does not have a special shape, but it's another really cute example of how to use this stamp set. So we'll put this cute little jar over here. I thought about putting it in the center, but I love the flowers on this paper. So this is also from that same Celebratory Sips set. So I may stamp a little greeting right there in the jar, I think. But anyway, then you can see how this comes together. So let's look at this last one. This is a card I made not too long ago with my team Zoom. My team members and I get together once a month. We craft and talk about what's happening in the craft world. And I created this. So for this one, I used that jelly bean stamp and markers. So instead of inking it on a ink pad, I just colored each of the jelly beans a different color, stamped it, and it came out really cute. So this is a fun little one with a little tag insert here. So I hope you can use these ideas in your projects. Go do some crafting, make some cards with some fun shapes. I just love the, it's just a little different. Now I'm throwing things in my craft room. It's going to be okay. So what are we going to talk about today? I don't know. I was like, here's what we're going to do. A while back, I had started one of my chats talking about how basically, like it's a thing in our world that women like to talk badly about their husbands. And that's how I started my chat. And then by the time I got to the end, we were like on a different planet. We were somewhere else. So anyway, let's do a little follow up to that video. Now I'm going to set an example of talking good about my husband. Marriages, I know I've been talking about this more on marriages. The more I see, the more I hear marriages are struggling friends. And it is up to us to fight for our marriages. That's a good thing I should mention. Uh, there is a pastor that we have started listening to who is fantastic. He says some things that will be offensive to some people, but he speaks truth according to scripture. And he did a series called Fight for Your Family in August 2024. His name is Josh Howerton, Lake Point Church. Lake Point has an E on the end of it. You can look him up anywhere on YouTube, podcast, whatever, wherever you want. He is fantastic. He did a series called Fight for Your Family. There was a husband sermon, a wife sermon, and then two on parenting, and it was excellent. But we have to fight for our families. One of my I have these real my revelations. I guess I'm getting old. I don't know. One of my revelations is everything I need to know about marriage, I didn't learn from the world. Everything the world taught me about marriage is leading to a crazy divorce rate, right? And a lot of people who are struggling in their marriages. And things aren't going well because the world taught us, I don't even know, that the fairy tale thing. You're gonna grow up and it's gonna be amazing, and your husband's gonna meet every one of your emotional needs, and your whatever. He's not gonna annoy you, and he's not gonna leave his underwear in the sink, or I don't know, whatever. All the things. We have to fight for our marriages. So I'm getting distracted. We're gonna go back to where I'm not gonna get distracted today. We need to start by speaking well of our spouse. Now, I don't really, I know I have men that watch, so I don't want to make you feel like you're not welcome here, but we got to start speaking positively of our spouses, and especially this, I think this is more a woman thing. So, uh, the talking bad about my husband. So anyway, here's my example. I'm going to say some good things about my husband. We've had our difficulties. It's been hard. We have a blended family. Oh, sometimes we need to talk about blended families. It's hard. It's hard. I know all y'all with normal families, you tell me how hard that is, and then we've got our extra complicated stuff thrown in. It's hard. Uh, but I'm gonna say some great stuff about my husband because he's a great dude. Someday I'm gonna get him to come talk to you because I know that you would love Farmer Matt. I don't know how you could not love Farmer Matt. He's, I don't know, he's great. He's funny. He's super quiet. Until you get to know him, he, until you get to know him, and then he has lots of things to say. Sometimes he has nothing to say. That's okay. That's kind of a man thing too, right? But my husband, he works his tail off. He, we can get mad about working a lot, right? Or we can appreciate him and appreciate it. And he knows there are times we talk about making time for other things besides working, but I make sure that he knows that I appreciate how hard he works because I I know I could not be in a marriage with I would not be happy in a marriage with a person who is a lazy bum. Now, if you are married to the lazy bum, find something else that they're really good at that you really appreciate and focus on that. Okay, so I don't want to draw attention to problems in marriages that are laziness and not helping and all that. Anyway, I'm talking about what I appreciate about my husband. He works really hard. He has built his trucking business with, like I said, we have like two employees. Sometimes there's other people around here helping, but he hauls farm equipment. So like loading up a combine and taking it halfway across the country is kind of a big thing. You're not going to let any old truck driver do that, okay? Not nothing against truck drivers. Like, you're not gonna let any random person do this. You really shouldn't. My husband hit an overpass, a bridge once with a combine. That day, he should have been the person who was not allowed to drive the truck. Anyway, he's. Am I gonna tell my husband I made this video or am I not? Anyway, okay. What was I talking about? Okay, he's built up this business. He's got a good reputation. Like, they do good work and they show up when they're supposed to. And there's lots of trucking people and companies that things are not as reliable. But anyway, he's done that all by himself. So when he graduated from high school, he used to go out west on a harvesting crew. If you ever see pictures of fields where there's like 10 combines in a field, he used to do that kind of thing. So he would go out and help on harvesting crews out west to harvest wheat and then corn also. And then after doing that for a couple of years, he became in charge of a crew. So he was in charge of the equipment. Think I don't know if he took out one combine or two combines. I think two. Several the semis to haul the combines, the tractors, and the grain carts to do all this harvesting for farmers out west. And he had to hire people and get them out there and pick them. And anyway, it was a big thing. He's worked really hard. He's done very well. He's kind and polite most of the time. He is a man. Oh, I just offended some people. You know, I say things that are we can't all be on our best game all the time. Now I'm getting really flustered. This happens every once in a while that I can't even think, what was I talking about? Um, this is where I was trying to go. In a world where men are taught to be, I don't know what, macho. Let's go with macho and tough and whatever, all that stuff. Like, have certain attitudes towards women and whatever other things. Uh, my husband is a refreshing example of not that. He is a good human. I appreciate him. Here's me telling the world I appreciate my husband. What can you do today to appreciate your husband? I actually heard a story, this book that tells us it's the opposite of what the world teaches us about marriage, and it will offend a lot of people too, but it's based on biblical teachings called Created to Be His Help Meet, I think. His Help Meet. It's written by Debbie Pearl. But anyway, it is very, I'm going to say conservative, I don't know, about a woman's role in marriage. She had a story in there about a woman that talked really bad about her husband, like at church, wherever, anywhere. She said bad stuff about her husband. And I don't know. I think her husband kind of knew or got the sense or whatever. And anyway, this woman changed how she spoke about her husband. And even though he wasn't doing honorable things at the time, she changed how she spoke about him and started only saying good things about him. Long story short, it's a whole process, but their marriage completely turned around. We can make a difference. Let's speak highly of our spouses. I appreciate you. Thanks so much for being here. I hope you'll be back again next time when I'll be here helping you to handmake with love.